Hello, Facebook. I hope everyone is doing well. So, I thought about doing this video because there is so much going on. I want to clarify one thing just so we all on the same page and y'all know who I'm talking about. I don't pray to my kids, I pray for my kids. I don't pray to my family. I pray for my family. So let's get this straight, especially Texas. I want to get this straight right now. If the Lord decided to take every child I have, if that was the Lord's will for my life, then that would be the Lord's will for my life. So, with that being said, all it is, you can't talk to the grandkids. All it is, contacting my cousin, contacting my sister, but yet I can't talk to two of the grandkids. It don't mean nothing. And it shows this. May Snooki rest in peace. It shows this. You have not learned the lesson that's needed to be learned from your daughter. Okay, so Snooki wasn't able to do a lot of stuff that she did. And the parenting style did not work. We live in a world where even when the parenting style is the best, the children are still coming out corrupt. But the Lord handles my battles. That's who's handling my battles. Not no kids, not no grandkids. Try something new. I'm so tired of men when they don't get their way or whatever. You can't see your kids, you can't see your grandkids. It's not phasing me anymore. It's old news. Okay, my daughters are gone. They moved on with their life. Oh, well, I don't pray to those women. And I'm not praying to my granddaughter and grandson that's with Sean down in Texas. Try something new because it's not working. All you doing is saving me some money and some stress. And you didn't get it when I sent Snooki down to you, to Texas. You act like, Sean act like anything or anybody that comes from him is such a prize instead of it being a behavior problem. That's what it is a behavior problem. I'm going to start with Daniel. Daniel just got out of Children's Hospital. Could have almost lost his life. But see, y'all parenting style down in Texas, y'all enable people to be drug addicts. You enable people to overdose instead of providing some kind of discipline to help a person come out of it. I don't enable my children. Daniel made his own choices. The Lord saved his life. I left him up there at that hospital and brought my butt home and allowed him to learn to spend a few hours alone at the hospital to learn what he needed to learn, along with providing a drug-free example for the child. But see, Sean don't do that in Texas. He try to get people off drugs while he's tipping up the liquor, smoking the weed, setting an example of drug abuse. And it just didn't work out. But see, this is the thing. Whether I could talk to my granddaughter or grandson right now, I just want to get this clear too. Tina made a statement. She said, well, sometimes you just got to bow down. So I looked up bow down. And it's so amazing how people say things and they're not spiritually equipped or even on the right page that they should be with God to even be saying certain things. So bow down. So I looked up bow down meaning to show respect to someone and agree that they are more powerful than you. And it uses an example in this definition. He expects me to bow down to him and do everything he tells me. So this was the term Tina used. And I told Tina instantly, I bow down to the Lord, not to Sean or anyone else. The Lord had already showed Sean Moorhead what he can do. So Sean is not powerful over anybody, because if he was so powerful and he was so like a god or want to be like a god, then he would not have two children laying side by side in grave sites. That's why I'm not worried about talking to no grandchildren. That doesn't faze me. Because I understand this. The Lord could take Sean Moorhead out of here next week. The Lord can take me out of here next week. The Lord almost took Daniel out of here. But see, I didn't enable the behavior. So my son is well, snapped back to normal, like as if nothing happened, took a couple of pills in the hospital that they gave him to rejuvenate him back, and is now testifying for the Lord on how he will never touch a drug a day in his life. Daniel told me, Mama, those people in the hospital was mean to me. I said, that's what you needed. I'm not getting ready to baby you. You 17 years old. You was taught better. But see, when Snooki was going through drug abuse, it was always somebody right there. You need some money, you need this. How many people hand their kids $100 bills when you know they on cocaine, they on weed? Enablers. And you're going to continue to get the same result. Because Sean Moorhead does not have the parenting skills that's needed to properly raise anybody. He ain't even raised. It's so immature to try to take advantage of somebody that's grieving. At the end of the day, I'm always going to be Snooki's mom. But you just haven't learned the lesson. This same stuff Sean is doing, Snooki did it. Same stuff. Abusive, addiction, all of this stuff. Where did it get her? Where did it get her? And then to have a child that leaves this earth and their soul is in jeopardy. That's all Sean is doing, is making it so all of these children's souls are at jeopardy. I don't agree with it, but this is my stance on this. I am going to function with or without my daughters, my grandkids, because I'm going to say this one more time. I do not pray to my kids and grandkids. I pray for them. And when I pray to one God, not 10 or 15 different people. Try something else. Because this ain't working. This is old news. The Lord is going to continue to put who is supposed to be in my life. And if it's not meant to be my daughters and my grandchildren, so be it. None of those people are my God. None of those people have any control over my God. Most of the time, people can barely control themselves. All of these threats, Sean woman gonna bash me in my head. All of this crazy stuff. Am I bashed in the head? No, I'm not. Why am I not bashed in the head? I'll do some jail time if I needed to do it. A jail and a prison might be a vacation at this point, but I'm untouched. This is so silly. Acting childish, calling my sister, calling my cousin like something that came from Sean is like gold when it's not. If you want to do a comparison, gold or more like some hyenas. When I went down to Texas, only one of my grandchildren acted psychologically stable, and that was Mariah. Mariah was the only grandchild, and that's because she's being raised by Travaris them. She's not being raised with that toxic, narcissistic, enabling drug abuse environment. And I remember when my daughter first pretty much gave Mariah to Travaris, I was not in agreement with it, but the Lord showed me something. At least one of your grandchildren is protected from Sean's abusive, narcissistic, wicked behavior. Oh, it was all fun in high school. Messing over a virgin, which was me. Messing over Mama Boo. Attempting to destroy all these women's lives. Every baby mama you got other than me gets on drugs and alcohol. I've been protected the whole time. I'm protected from all that St. Louis mess, and I'm protected from that Texas mess. Y'all are living in a delusion if you think that I am fazed or really too much caring about this grandchild mess. It's nothing to me. Like I said, try something else. I'm going to continue to pray for them because they're going to need it. Micaiah and JJ are going to need many prayers. You can't stop me from doing that. Whether I talk to Micaiah or JJ or not, you cannot stop my prayer. And I will never, Tina, get your spiritual life together. Because for you to even come out of your mouth, I don't know what Sean said to you, but for you to even say or think, telling me to bow down to that man, that shows one thing, that anybody up in Washington State knows me much better. I don't bow down to nobody, especially a degenerate. Because that is what Sean is, a degenerate. He was a degenerate in high school, and you got what came coming to you. Because in high school, it was so cool messing over Miss Nettie's granddaughter, spitting at me, messing over a virgin. Then you was over here with Mama Boo, destroying her life. She ended up going down a emotionally disruptive path. She's a miracle, even being able to come out of that situation. But it was so cool and dandy. Sean's mama enabled it. All you had to do was be cute to come in her house, and you could F her son. All of this unfit parenting. It was so cool back in the 80s. But how cool is it now? Since my firstborn and Mama Boo's firstborn is laying in graves side by side. So you're not my God. Because my God allowed 2 of your kids, one of them including mine, to be laying in grave sites side by side. And if you keep messing with my God, you're going to be laying in a grave site right with your children. That's all that's coming. And I'm going to end this by saying this once again. I don't pray to my kids or grandkids. I pray for them. None of this is touching my life. God is consistently doing what he needs to do in my life. Brought my baby out of children's hospital. Yes, my baby. Daniel, my baby that came out of me. None of you could have stopped that. Taking some kids, taking some grandkids, taking some daughters. The Lord is the decision maker and always was if I was going to be allowed to parent anybody. Kirk couldn't touch that. Kirk couldn't change that. Because the Lord said, yeah, you could take some daughters. Sean, you could take the grandkids. But I'm surrounded around children. Every day I dedicate my life to my children. And I have been doing that, dedicating my life to my sons for the last almost 23 years. And you can't take that record away from me. God understands. If I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do for my grandchildren, my daughter died. What kind of woman wouldn't step up for their grandkids? I tried to step up. But then I was interacting with a narcissistic, wicked spirit. Sean is diabolical, wicked, always have been. But it's okay. At the end of the day, who gets hurt is those kids. I'm a grown woman. I can handle not talking to these kids. And then if taking care of the kids is so great, Sean Moorhead, why you drunk? Why you smoke weed? You must don't want the kids. It must not be happy to keep the kids because I don't need to drink and get high because I actually enjoy raising my kids here. So obviously you don't. All of that crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, you ain't nobody's God. And go to the grave site and visit your children. Put some flowers on your children's grave and stop calling my family, my cousin, and my sister trying to antagonize me. Because the more you antagonize me, my one God gonna antagonize you. I will never bow down to nobody. Once you told me you had that crazy lunatic woman threaten me and allowed her to threaten me, and you said if I called to talk to my grandkids anymore, you would file harassment charges on me. I haven't called you since. I have not called you. For what? Because the grandkids that you raising ain't my God. And I'm not going to be bound down to you, the grandchildren, or nobody, because it's too much to do with my life. I don't care who you call. You can call Tina. You can call Deshauna. I'm not contacting you, Sean. That part of my life was over with when I moved to Washington and got married. I am so done with this stuff. It is just crazy. The Lord made it so that I am being continuously blessed. The Lord understands I'm not going to be accountable if these men are not allowing me to talk to my daughters and my grandchildren. The Lord is going to hold those men accountable for that. I only can raise who I'm allowed to raise. At the end of the day. But at the end of the day, your grandchildren are going to be spoiled and enabled just like you did your daughter, just like you did your son. You did them a disservice because there was no balance. So how could your children get off drugs and come out of gangs? I went through so much with my sons. All of them are working and doing very well with their lives because I knew how to love, but I didn't enable. And then the sad thing is, you won't allow me to talk to Micaiah and JJ. But guess what? You gonna show them the same disservice you told Snooki. You showed Snooki, left her at a motel by herself to cross the street and get hit by a truck. Kurt wouldn't have even done her like that. Yeah, that's right, I said it. My ex-husband wouldn't have done Snooki like that. And at the end of the day, when Snooki left this earth, in her soul, that's who she loved, was her stepfather. At the end of the day, Sean, you know it and I know it too. You keep doing what you're doing, and like I said, you make sure that you go visit your children at the gravesite. And this is why I want you to do it. This is the number one reason you should go visit my daughter and my son. I call Lil Sean my son. I love them. So the main reason you need to go visit them is as a reminder that you're not nobody God. You're not nobody Lord. You're not your own Lord or God. You're not your deceased children's God. And you definitely not my God. I would appreciate it if you stop contacting my family about this mess before you have the harassment charges. Daniel crazy. Yeah, Daniel said preach. You hear that? That's all he know. That's all Daniel's been around since he been on this earth, is Muslims and Christians. Unlike you hyenas, and you know who I'm talking about in Texas, the hyenas that I'm talking about, Sean and that woman and all this crazy stuff. And your life, Sean Moorhead, is in God's hands. I hope you live a long life. But you better learn the lesson from your daughter. Because my Lord took care of that. Your daughter sat up in court, turned on me, tried to do a disservice, tried to hurt me, Kareen and Nyreen, tried to bring so much pain to Kareen and Nyreen and myself through separating us. But guess what? Me, Kareen, and Nyreen are still alive. You better learn a lesson from your daughter and back off from me and get it right with your God. And Tina, you watch yourself too with that old snake behavior. Because I don't sit up and socialize and talk to people that sit up and threaten you. So learn how to be a better sister. Don't allow that demon Sean to pull you into this mess, because it shows that you're spiritually weak. But it helped me to know where I was at spiritually when my baby sister said, well, bow down. I don't bow down to nobody, especially no degenerate. First of all, I can respect Sean. I'm respecting him now. That's why I don't contact him. When the man said he was going to file harassment, all I was trying to do was be a grandmother. I had a grandmother. I am the woman I am today, and I turned out to the best of my ability because I had my grandmother. That's all I was trying to offer my grandchildren, was a grandmother. But see, when you're dealing with a degenerate, that's why Sean, both of his children are laying up in a grave, because he don't know what they need. But the Lord know what they need. And he went ahead and had the angel of death come take their souls out their chest so they can move on to their next destination. And that destination has to be better than being around Sean Moorhead. I am convinced of it. If that was my daddy, I'd rather be deceased than to deal with a father like that. And I'm going to reiterate this once again. Kurt wouldn't have left Snooki at a motel by herself, crossing the street all by herself. That's one thing we never did. Snooki didn't have to worry about ever being by herself here. But see, she chose to stay down there in that toxic abuse. And that's her choice. She's a grown woman. So a grown woman must reap the consequences of their behavior. It just needs to stop. And this is my stance on all this crazy stuff. Once again, I don't pray to my kids. I don't pray to my grandkids. I pray for them. Have a blessed life in Texas, because I'm going to continue to have one here in Washington State. Don't you see what the Lord did? Y'all can't touch me even if you wanted to. I'm not even in Texas. I'm not in St. Louis. The Lord removed me from all of that. Even protected me, even when I went through what I went through with Kurt. He removed me from that demon too. That's all the Lord do for me, is remove me from all that toxicity. Such a beautiful Lord that I serve. I hope you find him too. Sean and Tina. Because anytime a woman tells me I need to bow down, she has to get her prayers together. Tina, you need some serious prayer when you tell me that I need to bow down to Sean to talk to some children. That is ludicrous. That is insane. And it shows me you don't know much about men. Not at all. Because the first thing with a man is do what he tells you to do. When that man told me do not contact him, after that crazy lunatic, crazy in the head woman threatening to bash me in my head, and she's supposed to be working in the field of psychiatry, in the medical field. But here's another woman Sean has to use. Oh, he has to bow down to her because he moved in her house. I'm not staying in no man's house. I live in my own house where I'm primary on the paperwork. I don't need to bow down to no man at all. I'm going to continue to bow down to my Lord. And like I said, with the behavior that Sean is showing, obviously he hasn't learned his lesson. It's so sad that he hasn't learned his lesson, even though I saw him at the grave site myself. He hasn't learned his lesson at all. I've learned mine. And I will continue. It is such a blessing. Anybody that's removed or not allowed to be in my life, that is such a blessing. That is not I used to look at things differently, like the Lord was harming me or something. No, it's such a blessing. Snooki has been dead over a year now. Ain't nobody thinking about or worried about or losing no sleep because they not talking to anyone that Sean is raising. Because the parenting style, an enabling parenting style with no discipline involved, and no, sitting on your daughter's chest till she gonna have an asthma attack and she ain't got no oxygen barely in her body. That's not discipline. I'm not talking about manly child abuse. And then at the end of the day, left her at the hotel or left her at a motel to die. But like I said, I'd rather be in the gravesite than for Sean Moorhead to be my daddy. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Get y'all prayers together. And like Daniel just said, when he clapped, preach. This is the type of atmosphere that Daniel's in. And that's why when he go through stuff, he survives it. And then got the nerves to try to have somebody in drug rehab and you a drunk yourself. What kind of stuff is that? You're an alcoholic yourself, trying to get somebody off drugs. You're a drug dealer yourself, trying to get somebody out of the game. Goodness, you ever heard of setting an example for the children? What kind of example is that? I'm not a bad lady, but I'm not getting ready to spend no money trying to talk to Micaiah and JJ because they not my God. And they not going to have your back anyway, Sean. All they going to be is takers, just like your daughter was, because that's all you raise is takers. You're not raising givers. They're going to have the same narcissistic spirit that Snooki had because you just don't have a balanced parenting style. You teach them to play games, like all these games. The effect that woman had, when I had her on speakerphone, Sean's woman, and she threatened to bash me in my head, you still have not apologized to Daniel. The effect that had on him when he heard that woman threatening me and stuff like that, it's just inappropriate. Like you heartless, you soulless, very diabolical, very degenerate behavior. And at the end of the day, I'm protected from it. All them demons that's on your grandkids, that's down in Texas, keep them down there. I don't need them up here. And once again, like I said earlier with Tina, you need to get yourself prayed up. Because I'm too prayed up to not understand that I don't bow down to nobody. And to Sean, oh my God. If there was any man I was supposed to bow down to, if God was to have me to bow down to one, I'm quite sure it wouldn't be the degenerate. I promise to God, it just wouldn't be that. Want me to bow down to a bunch of hyenas. Don't know if they coming or going. And whether Daniel, cut that down, baby. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You hear that? Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm raising. And he learns his lesson. He woke up, he said, Mom, they was so mean to me at this hospital. All these racists in Washington. They getting more and more racist. I said, but you know what? They doing you a favor. Don't put yourself there no more. What you doing in the hospital in the first place? He said, Mama, I'll never be back in this situation. I got him out that situation. I was right back there to get him discharged, bring his clothes. Isaiah even showed love and came to the hospital to get him. But I gave him that 2 to 4 hour window to learn his lesson. I told him, I said, they doing you a favor. This is how what the world calls junkies and people that OD, this is how they treat them. The world treats those people very bad, son. You don't want to put yourself in this situation, smoking no weed, taking no pills or any of that. But Sean, you keep trying your best, but ain't nobody losing no sleep because you are taking care of Micaiah and JJ. For one, children are expensive. So I keep it real with my situation. You don't value me. Never did. From the moment I met you, Sean, you never valued me. You tried to misuse me when we was kids. And the Lord freed me from you, but you don't value me. You're not a spiritual man. You're basically a borderline atheist, man. You think I'm caring about what a borderline atheist is thinking or doing to me? You think I'm caring about What's some man that if he died in the next hour probably will remain in the pit of hell? You think I'm caring about that? No. Life is too short. And I'm going to continue to live my life. And once again, I pray for my kids and grandkids and cousins and stuff. I don't pray to them. And may the Lord bless you. Hopefully you wake up because you ain't learned your lesson. And you ain't learned your lesson on how the Lord take care of people that come at me wrong. Because see, I sit back in love. I sit back in patience. I sit back and I observe. I sit back and I move on. People got something else to do besides sitting up keeping kids. And if you raise your children properly, you won't have to keep your grandkids. Your children will keep their children. Grandma and grandpa keeping you just mean grandma and grandpa made a mistake or something went wrong. You want to raise your children where they raising their own kids. And it's just crazy. And the whole thing is just really insane because it's so sick because I'm way up here. All I was offering was the kids be able to come visit, give Sean a break from the kids. I want Sean to have a woman. I'm glad he got a woman, long as it ain't me. I don't want the man. I just was trying to offer a respite period where him and his woman could do things together. Because I was willing to help with the kids, with my grandchildren during the summers. That's all I was trying to offer. But he doesn't want the help. So I'm going to continue to help the family that I have here, the friends I have here. I'm around pretty good people here. And so I will continue to be in Washington as long as the Lord will allow me to be here. And I'm going to continue to live my life. The Lord gave me such a good life. So many blessings. The Lord gave me so much. How could I be pissed off or unhappy about some grandkids and some daughters that's gone? I'm even happy that the Lord took my daughter out of this earth. The Lord is such a, how can I word this? Such a great God. In Islam, they would say Allahu Akbar. Such a great God to take my daughter out of her misery. To free my daughter from all of this earthly stuff. What a great God. God is just so great. And at the end of the day, I learned the lesson. And I hope y'all learn the lesson. May many blessings come to you. I love y'all all. And get it together, because I got it together up here and I'm getting it together. With or without my grandchildren, my life don't stop. Because this is the thing about me. I'm a winner baby and I got stuff to do. And what you doing and trying to attack me and whatever you got going on, don't stop what I got going on. And I ain't leaving nobody up here in Washington at no motel by themselves. I tell you that. We don't do that here. So it's a shame that you deny the grandchildren the other side of the family when you know your degenerate, diabolical, wicked, second grade education, reading self is gone. Abandon them just like you did their mother and had them at a motel because your woman say she can't stay. because your woman say my daughter's so crazy, but yet she's supposed to be so scared of my daughter and my daughter's so crazy, but yet your woman is telling me she gonna bash my head in when I'm asking politely, can I speak to my grandchildren? But yet me and Snooki so crazy, but this lady's supposed to work in the field of psychiatry, threatening a woman she don't even know me, but she ain't that crazy because she kept her hands to herself. Because we could have danced around and created some more caskets down there in Texas. So good job teaching your woman to keep her hands to herself. Because I wasn't down there to get bashed in the head by that little twig. And all of this hypocrisy. Me and Snooki so crazy, but this lady works in the field of psychiatry and can't do something simple as just put my grandchildren on the phone so I can say hello to them. Such a simple thing. It's a simple thing. It's so sad. But it must be hard out there when people gotta basically steal another person's family. I must have some beautiful children since everybody want to steal them. I must have some kind children since everybody want to steal them. Because I ain't seen nobody try to give them back. I must have some real angels since everybody want to steal them. And I'm going to continue, like Daniel said, preach. That's what we do here. We do recovery. It's called recovery. So the Lord showed me, Irene, the children that you care for, I will bless them to the best of my ability. And the Lord could decide, hey, I'm taking your children and you're going to have children side by side in a cemetery as well. I could be in Sean's position. But at the end of the day, one of them babies is biologically mine. And hey, maybe Lil Sean and Sharina get along better. Because they didn't get along. How could they get along? Look at their narcissistic, effed up daddy. How you gonna get along when your daddy filled with alcoholism and chaos and weed and whatever else that Negro doing? But then gonna have the nerves to, they can't talk to the person that don't do no drugs. Just pitiful. May the Lord bless y'all. I love y'all. Have a great night. Thank you. Bye.